Americans. What do you hate most about America? How we treat politics as a team sport rather than a school of thought. The fear-mongering. So many people walking around scared to death of their own shadow. That education and learning are not the top priority. Everybody has an opinion about everything, and instead of listening and respecting each other, they are stubborn as hell and take it too far. Our medical system. Most people are one major accident or cancer diagnosis away from going bankrupt because the system cares more about making money than people's lives. Also, our educational system. It's also made for profit. The result being students graduating with damn near useless degrees and debt that'll stick with them until they die, even if they declare bankruptcy. The lack of any kind of work/life balance. I live in the Bay Area, and every other person looks like they are dying on the inside. The overwhelming debt, insane work stress to pay for those overpriced houses, little time actually spent with family and friends, and to top it off, soul-crushing traffic. No wonder every other person suffers from anxiety and depression nowadays. The anti-intellectual, anti-science mindset so many people have. It's shocking how many people in the US believe the earth is only 10,000 years old, not to mention the whole anti-vax/anti-modern medicine movements, flat earthers, chemtrails, and everything else. The not my problem attitude toward taking care of the environment. That there are only two main parties, which creates political issues into these dichotomies. Bumper stickers. I can already tell you're an idiot by the way you're driving. Written confirmation is not required. Politics. No matter what side of the line you're on, there's just so much hatred and vitriol. Obesity. And how it's just becoming normal for everyone to be absolutely enormous. Nobody bats an eye. This is going off on a tangent, but I moved to rural Wisconsin from Chicago and people are way more polite up here. But everyone is just huge and drive huge SUVs with Trump stickers, and there's a McDonald's on every corner. It just seems to sum up what a lot of rural America is like. Well-meaning people on the surface and hardworking, but just set in their ways, and I'm not sure where I'm going with this. It's a caricature of what other countries think of when they picture an American. Morbidly obese, friendly to other white folks, super proud of their country, Christian, drives an enormous Suburban that gets 15 mpgs, McDonald's drive-thrus, afraid of change or other cultures, obsessed with their local sports team. Instead of reporting on important issues, the media reports on meaningless things that are complete opinions rather than a report. I'm black. I hate how every time I see an old black person talking about Black America, they talk like the over-the-top preachers. I also don't like the term Black America. There are many things that I really dislike about America. The politics, the disrespect of humans, medical care, you know, all the crappy things we are all tired of dealing with. But the one thing that I'm so sick and tired of is sugar has to be in literally everything. Why does my bacon/sausage have sugar in it? Why does there have to be so much sugar in all our foods? It's like, oh, here, have some sugar with that sugar. I'm so tired of it all. End rant. The blind acceptance among some that we are the best. I love America. I think America can be a great nation. But we have a lot to work on. You're not great by default. You have to actively work at it. The lack of pragmatic answers to issues we've been facing for decades. The lack of punishment to those who willfully pillage the programs we need. The handouts to the rich that aren't needed. The constant perpetual fight we've hit for no reason aside from pride of being on a team. The lack of community and humanity. The fact that we are lost and we don't know how to get back on the right track again. Because that would mean we'd have to work together. The racism and hate that has come back in great force for no reason. The vitriol as a whole from one person to another. Peekaboo bathroom stalls. All the freaking litter. Pick up after yourselves, you disgusting idiots. Our federal government is a crap show. The intentional, even prideful ignorance of some. Most of the media is just pushing an agenda. They don't give a single frick about actually informing people. Lobbying. To me it is legalized corruption and undemocratic transportation and slow internet/expensive internet providers compared to other countries. We don't have black current here. Apparently it's the goddamned bomb. We wouldn't know though. People who reject science and scientists and put all their money into homeopathy, organic food, and are non-GMO, anti-vaccine, etc. How much we have to work just to get by. The creeping sentiment that freedom of speech equals freedom from offense. Our toxic relationships with our jobs. We literally work ourselves to death. Good jobs have insurance and paid sick/vacation. But many people don't get those things. And when you do, you're often made to feel bad for using sick or vacation time. So we end up with super stressed out, sick people working themselves into an early grave. The American work culture is just that. Work, work, work. I'm envious of my friends in Europe, who are required to take at least a month of vacation and have fewer work hours. Our work culture is so unhealthy for our mental health, physical health, and social health. Tribalism. Really all the issues come down to no one agreeing on what an American is, except that people who disagree with them aren't. It's hard to find a social problem that can't be reduced to that, or a significant other issue that doesn't follow from social problems. Fake patriotism. We've always had our issues, but it all changed after 9/11. It got so much worse. Instead of patriotism, we got jingoism and hypernationalism, and the bullcrap philosophy that patriotism meant blind allegiance to the government. Most of us were mad off and angry after 9/11 and wanted revenge, but the festering hatred that manifested and continues after that is one of the worst things about this country. Lack of care for public spaces. Dropped crumbs on the train. Not gonna pick it up. Peed on the airport toilet seat. Someone else can wipe it up. Got food all over the park picnic table. Who cares? It's outside. Clean your crap, people. All the talk of appropriation when America is a big melting pot of culture that we share with each other. Political agenda stemmed from religion. Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. That dog eat dog is considered the highest order of personal responsibility and good values. Citizens United, this needs to be overturned as soon as possible. Biggest reason why our political system is such a crap show now. Americans who don't know their own history. The fact that people think the 2016 election was the most controversial in history shows that nobody knows their history. There wasn't anything controversial about it. The election of 1876 was the start of Jim Crow law. The way freedom is supposed to be our most important value, but we make more stupid laws and incarcerate more people than anyone else. The political polarization that comes from even the most innocent comments. I've seen a conversation about spaghetti turn into a criticism of Donald Trump and a labeling of him as an Nazi in the space of less than 60 seconds. It's so tiresome and unnecessary. The media existing to divide the people and promote sensationalism instead of content that's even halfway intelligent. The generalizations people make about all of the Americans. Car dependence. Cars are amazing tools, but often it is the only tool available in America. One specific is the interstate highway system. Bad for rural, because it bypasses small towns. Bad for urban, because it destroys neighborhood and leads to suburban, which is a place always stuck in traffic. Money in politics. I firmly believe that the majority of major issues are completely hindered from being solved because of the loyalties our politicians, on both sides, have to their corporate sponsors. No one seems to understand that tolerance is a two-way street. Everyone seems to want to be able to live by their own values and lifestyles without any criticism, while criticizing and attempting to force them on someone else, and take legal action when they don't like it. Also, the culture of glorified ignorance is the most stupid freaking thing I've ever encountered. How can you possibly be proud of the fact that you refuse to educate yourself? The immediate dismissal of any third party, while we all know and admit the two-party system is a scam. The healthcare sucks. Don't have insurance? Well, no life-saving surgery for you. Consumption habits. The fact that you have to tip. Not using the metric system. Corporate slavery. Poor turnouts on election day, with so many citizens electing not to exercise their right to vote. Our transportation system built almost solely around cars. that healthcare is tied to employment. I was self-employed for about 3 years and loved it. One of the big reasons I decided to go back to being an employee was that my healthcare costs were getting crazy. I have a mild/moderate chronic health condition. So many more businesses and innovative ideas would come to fruition if we didn't chain people's health to working for someone else. Healthcare system. No one, including the doctors, the schedulers, insurance company, can tell you how much your care will cost until after the care is given. So you can never plan or make good knowledgeable decisions about your own health. It's a very broken system. On top of that, many people who needed a better system, low social/financial class, are so uneducated to realize that Obamacare is not perfect, but it's a step towards finding a solution. It's sad and frustrating. Intolerance. Lack of empathy. Healthcare. Oh, you came into the because your throat hurts. Well, you just have a cold. You should be fine in a couple days. That'll be $1,000. The self-loathing for being American that a lot of younger Americans have. America has a lot of problems that need to be improved on, and since we are the most powerful country, everyone else doesn't let us forget that, as they should. However, a lot of my more liberal-minded friends really take the country for granted and harp about how living in this country or that country will be so much better than being in America, only seeing the things that country does better and ignoring or being ignorant to the bad qualities of said country. I've only been traveling the world for a year now, but the things I realized I've taken for granted in American life are constantly hitting me in the face. Corporate greed and the ensuing corruption. I think the greed is what drives a lot of toxic practices, filtering down to fear politics, which seem to me to exist solely to get people to vote against their interest and for the interests of corporations, shareholders, and the ultra-rich. Americans who hate America. Maybe I hate the fact that we as a society are so easily controlled. People of a certain type will repeat an idea ad nauseam until it becomes accepted by entire generations of Americans. Look at how many young people say they hate hippies, yet have no reason to hate them. They've been trained to think that way. Think I'm wrong? Look at how quickly Americans have been trained to reflexively say, "Thank you for your service," to anyone in uniform. It was rare to hear a decade ago, or even 5 years ago, but now people are afraid not to say it, afraid they'll look unpatriotic or egged. Liberal. Speaking of liberal, JFK had a banner at his campaign speeches that said "Vote Liberal" in 1960. Conservatives have done such a good job of vilifying liberals that now it's an accusation that politicians throw at one another, and which most vehemently deny. John F. Kennedy was proud to be a liberal. Still think I'm wrong? Look at how easily Fox News and the Republicans they serve were able to make all Americans refer to the Affordable Care Act as Obamacare. Some of you probably didn't know it had another name. Its real name. I'm not naive enough to think that people are more intelligent or less gullible in other countries. But you asked what I hate about America, and it is our obedience to authority. Kardashians. Crap healthcare. In a lot of places, it can take almost 2 hours to get to any other meaningful place or destination, and that's without traffic. A lot of great things about living in such a large nation, but travel and exploration is not as easy as in Europe. Antifa. How all the Europeans think they know exactly what's wrong and how to fix it without knowing what it's like to live here or how much bigger the US is than their country. Trump. Not him personally, although he is a pretty disgusting human being. The fact that such a disgusting human being got elected, he really tapped into something. TL. Doctor, the horribly unhealthy food, the piss poor public health, the stigma that healthy food is bad, and the pharmaceutical drug culture. They all go hand in hand. Too many people here don't know proper nutrition. Everyone eats like crap and doesn't exercise. And then they either become morbidly obese or have horrible immune function, or both. Then they see the loads of ridiculous pharmaceutical drug commercials for their plethora of health problems and they think that's somehow the best option. So instead of changing their diet and lifestyle, They just want to take the drugs that their doctor will gleefully prescribe to them and think that relying on pharmaceuticals for their body to function properly is actually okay, suggesting any change to the way that they treat their bodies results in being called something along the lines of pushy or a fad dieter or something. My mom is an example of this mentality. She's not overweight at all, but she's insulin resistant and pre-diabetic, eats a ton of carbs, like a stupid amount of carbs, and not enough good fat. I have suggested that cutting down on her carb intake and increasing her fat intake would likely help with her situation and get her off her metformin. But she says she's okay with taking the drug all the time and just eating what she wants to. My brother made fun of the way I eat for years while he ate his junk food, and then he got a kidney stone. My dad is a picky eater. He's addicted to junk food and sugar, drinks almost as much soda as he does water. Everyone here just blames all their health problems on genetics while they stuff their face with processed garbage and sit on the couch. Basic research will show that genetics play a role, but that role is small. My girlfriend got called so extra by a co-worker at her summer job because she was eating healthy food for lunch, not even bothering anybody, just eating her lunch. There's this stigma here that healthy food is gross and junk food is amazing, that exercise is terrible, and being lazy is funny and relatable. It's literally a freaking meme at this point, and it's horrible. Nothing could be further from the truth. Eating healthy is not gross at all. It's not a fad diet. It's not pretentious. It's not privileged. It's not too expensive. It's not pushy. It just means you want your goddamn body to operate the way nature and evolution designed it to, and to not have to rely on some drug cocktail in order to live out the rest of your sad existence with some semblance of normalcy. This turned into more of a rant. Sorry about that. The people in it who constantly bish about how terrible America is. The domination of the country and its people by corporations and the wealthy. I'm so happy California passed the net neutrality bill. How so many of us think of ourselves as poor. It's like, have you ever even heard of mean global income? The entitlement is unbelievable. How the SJW's mentality has taken over the country. You cannot say anything or do anything anymore without having to fear for your career or social standing. I know this will get downvoted to oblivion and most PPL reading this will think I'm so big at asshole Chad who misses the days of blatant racism, sexism or else. But honestly, what it comes down to is this. Everyone needs to stop being so freaking sensitive. Safe spaces shouldn't be a thing. People should be allowed to say they want, short of racism, without feeling like they have to walk on eggshells. I hated day-to-day life in America. Virtually the whole country is built for cars. So it's impossible to walk, or be social, or go to work or get groceries without a car facilitating everything. And even in the cities, the urban pedestrian environments are fragmented and degraded from what you'd expect in an equivalent city elsewhere. I always felt like I had to fight for everything in America. Healthcare, education, a job. Day-to-day life, the feeling of absolutely no security or benefits causes so much anxiety. On top of that, having to drive was like a $500 a month or more tax that kept me from ever building a financial buffer. Getting a license to drive is too easy. Hero worship. Just about everything is for profit. Even things that shouldn't be, like prisons, education and healthcare. That people are obsessed with displaying flags and patriotism, and yet no one follows proper flag etiquette. As an American who has lived overseas for the past 7 years, I personally cannot stand being in America for more than a few weeks at a time. The thing I hate most would have to be how the majority of people are just so angry all the time. They have no patience and are high strung, always arguing with each other. It's draining for me just to be around it. People who hate America, Murica. How religious we are. I mean, to the point they reject science and medicine. How uneducated we are. No child left behind. Some dumb kids do deserve to repeat until they pass. How patriotic we are. We think we are the best and nothing we can do to improve anymore. I dislike how a lot of people hate on Trump. Your ranting won't do something. The willful ignorance and disdain of facts and the arrogance that goes along with these things. Medical bills, male circumcision, education loans and SJWs. The fact that lobbying exists via the form of giving money to politicians so that you can basically buy a vote from a politician. Lobbying for your interests to Congress is one thing, but the fact that it's allowed to be done by simply giving money, that's fricked, and is one of the biggest reasons we are in this crap show era of cowardly greedy politicians. Frickin' government pisses me off all the time, stripping away my constitutional rights and calling me up for taxes and crap. Laissez-faire capitalism, or the cost of medical treatment. For-profit healthcare. I hate that everybody is for themselves here. People would rather spend frivolous amounts of money on crap they don't need and turn a blind eye to the poverty that still exists. With that said, I think a major part of why people think that way is because of the very real fear that everything can be stripped away from you at a moment's notice. You can see this occurring in our healthcare. Spend a day at the hospital, get a bill for $30,000. Our prison system, screw up once, and you'll never be able to land a decent job again. Our education system, sign up for a loan when you're 18 not knowing what it really is, and spend your lifetime paying it off. It's never ending, and it's a huge source of stress and anxiety. It's a really sick cycle. People who have never even read the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution calling themselves patriots.